right. This is Jeff Townsend, and Luke is joining me, and we are here for another week, another journey to share more of your scary stories. This show where we share your scary stories or other scary stories around the internet. Luke, we're going, man. We've got people, 8 different platforms are live right now. We've got a crap ton of people listening. I think they're ready to get into some scary stories tonight. How are you doing, man?
Very good. I have a couple of stories I'm real excited about tonight. I'm always excited about every story I ever tell, but these ones I thought, well, these sound really good, and so I'm excited about it.
Bunsen and Reeker said scary story, no second breakfast. You need to check out their account, Luke. They teach science. They have these pets, and they use it to teach science to kids. It's amazing. Oh, Jason's been on my other podcast where we kind of give advice to content creators and stuff, so
I'll take a look.
Got a nice social media following for a good cause. Anyway, so this is where we're going to do things tonight. So we're going to be a little bit different, what I'm going to share tonight. We've been trying to get into that. People seem to enjoy this different kind of sharing scary story. So I'm going to break down one story into 3 different parts that we'll cover. And in between, you'll do your story. So, yeah, of course, I'll start it off. But before we do that, we want to make sure we encourage you to go to yourscarystories.com, submit a story if you have it. Show is available wherever you watch videos, wherever you listen to podcasts. So, but of course, we're live Mondays at 10:30 p.m.-ish. I always say ish as Luke was walking his cat tonight, and we were a little bit late once again, but we're here. That cat sure does take a long time to walk. It must have little legs.
It's a dog, and it's really big.
Well, I think that's the thing, right? It's got to be a cat if it's taking so long to walk.
Oh, he's just a dummy. He likes to run around.
Not going to argue that. Not going to get into the dog talk. I'll take it easy on you tonight. But I'll kick things off tonight. So I'm going to share a story. I don't know how familiar you are with this, Lucas, about Howard Stern. You ever listen to Howard Stern throughout the years?
Yeah, off and on. I don't watch whole things, but I catch bits and pieces of it.
Are you familiar with the time in 1997 when he had a serial killer call into the show? This is going to be a joy for you. I believe it was 1997. Howard Stern, obviously crazy freaking popular, man.
Yeah.
It was August 13th, 1997 when this happened. Throughout the show, during the day, they're just flagging callers, and then the producer will bring them in as according to what he seems necessary. Howard Stern got a call. The show got a call, and this person claimed to be a serial killer, and he had been killing women for quite some time. And they asked Howard Stern, hey, do you want to talk to the guy that says he's been the serial killer and all that? And this is how it kind of transpired. So we'll go in and out of this video and discuss it. So let me go ahead and get it pulled up here.
All right, I got a guy on the phone who claims he's been killing prostitutes, and he's wondering why he's doing it. Oh, God. So maybe he thinks I have an answer. Is this Ed? Ed?
No, this isn't Ed.
Oh.
You haven't killed any prostitutes?
No, I never said my name was Ed.
Oh.
Sorry.
That's okay.
What name do you use?
You can call me Clay.
Clay?
Clay?
Yes, Clay. Okay, Clay. So what happened? How many prostitutes have you killed?
12.
And you're wondering why you do it?
I have a pretty good idea.
Why? Did your mom beat you? Did your mom spank you?
Was your mom a prostitute?
No. Actually, nothing like that.
What is it then?
I think I just do it for the sense of the power.
All right. Do you have sex with them first?
Yes, and
then what, you strangle them?
Once.
How else did you kill them?
Well, a few times, actually, most times with a hammer.
And where do you do this primarily?
I've done it twice in a parking garage, and then the rest of the times on the side of the road.
And you're from the New Orleans area?
Yes.
And what do you beat them to death with a hammer?
Man.
That usually only takes once, and
Dude, you got to have a lot of anger in you.
yes.
Man.
Well, why do you need to feel so powerful?
He's got some issue with women, but like some shrink's got to look into it. It's not even worth it. I mean, you might as well just kill yourself if you killed 15 people. And that means you're heartless. You used to kill small animals?
No, I've killed a rat.
Yeah. See, a lot of guys start out killing kittens for some reason.
Yeah, they kill something before they start with humans.
If my kid killed a kitten or something cute, I'd probably just, figure, well, this is it. They're going to be serial killers.
Kill them.
Dude, you're a serial killer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. And you get away with it, I guess, because they're hookers, and so far nobody's... What?
Is this Howard?
Yeah. Hello? Hello?
I didn't know this was Howard.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
Howard.
of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I've never killed a kitten.
Really?
Never killed any small animal except a rat?
Yeah, rat's okay.
Well,
Rats, I don't mind you killing.
But how'd you kill him?
a rat.
Yeah.
Stepped on his head, I bet.
We had a big flood a couple of years ago, and it's not actually a rat. It's called a nutria rat. And I clubbed it to death. It got in the kitchen of my work.
So how old were you when you killed your first woman?
16.
And you must be a powerful kind of guy, big guy.
I wasn't then.
Right. And when you killed your first one, did you go in there knowing you were going to kill her, or it just sort of happened?
I knew I really had it planned out. You know, I wanted to do the whole sending clues.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Are you
To
in?
baffle people, but it turned out no one noticed for a long time.
Right. Like you killed her on the side of the road?
Her, that was the parking garage.
Okay. And then what'd you do with the body? You dumped that somewhere?
Yeah, actually, I think she's probably one of the ones that they found.
Yeah.
But let me ask you something. You were sending clues that you were going to do this?
No, I was.
He was going to
started doing that.
He was going to leave like a note for the newspapers, and
But you decided not to.
he didn't want to be famous or draw attention to himself. But what problem is?
No, that's what I wanted to do, but
Oh, but you did, but no one noticed the clues.
I never sent the clues. I never left anything. You know, I wanted to have my own little signature.
Right.
I wanted to thumb paint
Oh,
with their thumbs.
Oh, really?
what do you want to do?
Thumb paint with their thumbs.
Thumb paint what though?
I don't know.
Oh, anything. It was in a comic book a couple of years ago. Just seemed like a good idea.
Like you take the girl you killed, you dip her thumbs in paint, and then you do like a thumb painting
Yes.
on a piece of paper?
Yeah.
Jump back in here, Luke. So far, we've got 4 minutes into this conversation. And what are your thoughts?
This, clearly Howard at first didn't think this was real. He was messing with them at the beginning. And it just seemed like a jokey thing. But I think towards the end there, he started to realize this might be real.
You say the end. We've got a lot more audio left.
Yeah, the end of that clip there, it seemed like he started to piece things together, and he was like, maybe I could get him to admit to something to try to lead. It seemed like he was leading him to start saying too much. Howard Stern's a very smart person. Whether or not you like him or not, you can't deny that he's an intelligent person.
Well, he's interviewed. I mean, he spoke with and interviewed how many people? So he knows what he's doing, right?
I think he immediately started to put together this was real, and then he was like, "I'm going to get this guy caught." That was my takeaway with the way that conversation started going.
How do you feel about how casual the guy is acting about it?
I've watched a lot of serial killer interviews. You see those things every so often, and they get real casual about it. Like they are people who are guilty of terrible things will just start talking about it like it's like something that they know they're going to get away with.
Yeah, so this is pretty crazy. He is called in, and they seem to know something about it, right? They say you'll start out with small animals.
Yeah,
is what you're going to go after first, and he's like, no, I didn't do that. They immediately, though, also try to connect this sex worker thing to maybe he has a personal hatred for it, which as we get further into this, they keep discussing. But yeah, like you said, Howard Stern's a pretty intelligent guy, and he is already setting the stage to get some information, I guess you could say, out of this, like you said.
Yeah, that was my takeaway, yeah.
Yeah. Let's jump back in.
After you kill somebody, do you play with the body?
Actually, the closest I've ever done to that is I always make sure I pay them and I make sure they keep their money
Oh, really?
when they're still alive. But with one of them, I did put the money in a compromising place.
I see.
But that was this one. It had a penis.
Oh, really?
It was a guy.
Yeah, I didn't know at first.
So do you ever get, do you think the reason you're so angry is because you were abused or something?
No, I wasn't abused, Howard.
Where's your family?
You got a wife?
I mean, you got a mom, a dad, a wife, children. You got any of that?
I've got a couple of kids, but I'm
No wife.
not married to the mother.
You're a white guy?
Yeah, Howard, that's pretty funny because the only suspect they had when they started finding the bodies was a black police officer.
Oh.
Turns out one of them was associated with them.
Oh, really?
Are you on drugs?
I've done acid a few times.
So
But nothing heavy.
So after you killed the first 60-year-old, like you finished.
No, I was 16.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry.
She was.
All right. So you finished with your sexual gratification, and then
Not always, no.
not always. You don't even want to get laid sometimes.
No,
You just want to kill.
I'm just bored.
Right.
But does the killing sexually satisfy you in some way?
I can't believe Ed McMahon's not laughing.
I've eaten off thinking about it later.
Yeah.
What do you say?
That's about it.
He's pleasured himself thinking about it later.
Oh, he has. Okay. Now, how far apart are these murders? Like, do you murder and then, like, you feel satisfied for a while?
I don't even understand why I do it, Howard. I don't know if I ever get any satisfaction.
But how
the
often?
closest to gather anywhere was the same night.
Really?
You killed two people in the same night?
Yeah, but I went to Mississippi for the second one.
So there's no pattern to how many weeks or days between murders?
No.
Are these mostly white chicks or black chicks?
I had fair number of them have been black. The transvestite was black.
You think there's some racial motivation here?
No, Howard, they were just, let's just say a Jimmy Swaggart town.
Jimmy Swaggart Town.
Don't know what that means.
Me neither, but
That's pretty much the area around here where the prostitutes all hang out.
Oh.
I see.
Conversation's really starting to pick up here. This guy is getting further and further into detail, and it's becoming more and more scary. Let's segue to what you have, and then we will get back into that. Let me start queuing up the music. You're good.
All right. Oh, hate following that. All right. This one is called Something is Scratching on My Walls. About a month ago, me and my girlfriend of 3 years moved into our new house. It's a quaint one-story home by a smallish lake. There are about 10 houses surrounding the lake in all, but they're all fairly far apart. We know our neighbors, but not well. The sound started about a week ago. Violent scratching, almost like an animal, but far too rhythmic. It would start with 2 scratches, but then a small pause, then 3, a pause, 4, and so forth. It would continue, going up by 1 scratch each and every time. Scratching was from outside our bedroom wall. At least it was the first time. The next night, we heard it again, this time from outside the kitchen. Then we heard it again when it was coming from outside the living room. Every night, the scratching started from 2 or 1 and counted up until it inevitably stopped. The highest I've ever counted it to was 38, and that was the 5th night. My girlfriend was put off by it, but she didn't hear it like I did. She didn't hear the rhythmic pattern. She wrote it up as an animal, something natural. It was entirely explainable. But I wasn't so certain. To me, it felt like something conscious. It sounded like it was intentional, and it sure as hell sounded malicious. Every night it would happen around the same time, midnight. Me and my girlfriend would be going to sleep or sitting down in the front room, and all of a sudden, the rhythmic scratching would commence. I never went outside to try to see what it was. I also never argued too much with my girlfriend over what I was hearing. The last thing I wanted to do was prevent her from sleeping. She was a nurse and often spent all day at the hospital, and I wasn't home until late evening or early night. But this night was different. She was on a late shift, not due to be home until around 12:15. I wanted to stay awake to see her get home, but I also had a long day at work, and I needed sleep. I went to bed around 11:50. I closed my eyes and turned off the bedside lamp, and I heard it. I had half forgotten what it was. I was so tired that I brushed it off at first. It was the 5th scratch that woke me up. It was loud. It was shrill. I managed to drag myself out of bed and into the living room. I tried to pinpoint where it was coming from. Was it the kitchen, living room, or the laundry room? And I heard the 12th scratch. It came from the front door. I didn't want to open it. I didn't want to see what was on the other side. But it was 10 after 12 now, and my girlfriend would be here any minute. I didn't want her to run to wherever this person, this thing, or whatever it was on the other side. I took a deep breath, then I opened the door. There was nothing. No signs of scratches or dents. Nothing. Except there was a puddle of water, like someone had just come in from the rain and was at the doorstep. It hadn't rained that night as far as I knew. No one had been to our door that night either. Then I heard it, a loud screeching. It was like a retching howl of a creature I couldn't quite put my finger on. Then I saw lights, headlights, my girlfriend's headlights. The howl was from her direction. I took off running roughly 20 yards up to her. And there it was, in front of her car, some sort of creature. It was a beast that looked foul, kind of humanish, and inhuman at the same time. It was on all fours, dripping with water and covered in duckweed. He was standing on the hood of my girlfriend's car, staring in at her, snarling. The second she saw me, she threw open the door and ran as fast as she could in my direction. The creature screeched, chasing after her. I grabbed her and ran for her front door. I practically threw her in the house as I reached into the entryway cabinet, grabbed my hunting rifle. Raced outside. It was nearly to our doorstep. I aimed the gun and fired it towards the beast. Loud and painful screech sounded from it. It didn't fall over, didn't collapse. It just ran. It ran away from our house towards the lake. I stood there baffled and alert as it went into the lake. I stood there for what felt like an eternity. It never came back out. We left that night. Needless to say, we never went back. We didn't even clear it out for the new people who moved in. We've been staying in my parents' place ever since. We don't plan on leaving it anytime soon. We did warn the new owners of the occurrence, but the couple was old and skeptical. All they cared about was how cheap they got it for. I still don't know what it was we saw that night or how it could be underwater for so long. I don't know how the neighbors have never told us anything about it, or how they have seemingly never experienced anything like it before. These are all questions that could only be answered by returning, and therefore these questions we'll never know because we swore to ourselves that we will never go back.
Had so many people ask, what is duckweed?
It's kind of like
See if I can find it.
colloquialism for like the weeds that are like in like lakes that where ducks and shit hang out, you know.
Ducks and shit hang out. Let me try to find it here. Oh, okay. Okay, it's like, try to get a good picture here. It's a picture of a dude, see if I can shut off the camera or not. It's just literally the green stuff that floats in the water. It makes it look nasty. Yeah. How big was the creature, people are asking? Luke, you were there, damn it. Tell us everything, Luke. You know you were there.
So he described it as crouched on the hood of the car. So I'm
on the hood of her car. So
yeah.
Let's back up here. He's been hearing stuff for days.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, as they were commenting along here, are saying animal on the wall, yada, yada, yada. This all comes down and it ends. The ending of this is he goes outside because he hears it howling. It's been scratching. He hears a howling this time, and it's on the hood of her car, his girlfriend's car.
Yeah. It apparently had been scratching at the door, and then she was pulling up, and then he heard it howling as it was going towards her car, and then it was on the hood of her car afterwards.
Jesus.
So I'm picturing like large dog size, judging by the description.
It does kind of like the way the story starts. It's like there's like a raccoon in your attic or something, you know?
That's what I was going on when I started reading it myself. I was like, oh, this is probably something like raccoon in the wall or something like that, because like that happens, especially out in the middle of the woods, you know, or by a lake like that.
That's a really cool story. What did you title this one?
Something scratching on my walls.
I wonder if they have like physical evidence of the scratching, you know, like did it cause any damage?
So he said there was no scratch marks on the door when he opened it up. he did mention that there was no dents or scratch marks. That they just mentioned that they had heard it several times, but they never mentioned actually seeing any scratchings. And then that one time when he opened the door, he didn't see anything.
I'm obviously multitasking here, so there's parts of it I missed, I'm sure. The description, what did it look like exactly? Like, was this thing hairy? Was this thing...
So I don't believe he got a fully good look at it because of the headlights being shown at him.
He just started shooting at some bitch.
Yeah, but he did say that it looked human-ish as well as being inhuman, and it was on all fours.
Human-ish. So that would mean, I don't want to put, I don't want to speak for this person that shared the story. It had to have body parts that looked humanish, but it was just crouched down on all fours, right?
That's what my takeaway was.
I'm picturing like not on their knees on all fours. I'm picturing like on their feet on all fours, like doing like a creepy
feet and hands thing. Yeah.
He got a gun.
Yeah, he had a hunting rifle inside the door in his cabinet there.
He just started firing. Did he say he hit it or not? He don't know.
He said he thought he hit it, but it didn't like react to the hit. And then it just ran off into the lake.
It ran off into the lake. I guess I missed that part. It just jumped into the lake or what?
Yeah, it went under the water and everything. He said he waited what he thought was an eternity. Never saw it come back out.
It's old Greg. I don't know. I don't know if anybody listening remembers that. Anyway, he don't know if he shot it or not. Didn't go out there and look to see if there was any, blood splatter or anything. I don't know.
No, they just left that night after they determined it wasn't coming back.
Yeah, they never came back. So they disclosed this to the people that bought the house after.
Yeah, and they left all their stuff behind. They said they didn't go back for that. So
I thought he said it ran into the lake after he did shoot it. Yeah, that's what he said. It ran into the lake after he thinks he shot it. He doesn't know if he shot it.
Yeah, he assumed he hit it, but it didn't react as if it was shot.
Terminator stuff.
Yeah.
It's crazy. How do you think that conversation went with the people that were going to buy the house?
Hey,
let me cut you off and just guess how it went.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, just wanted to let you know there's this crazy ass creature that shows up. He scratches the walls. I saw him the other week, and real creepy looking thing. Kind of looked like a person crawling around. He was on the hood of my girlfriend's car, and I shot at him. I don't know. I think I hit him or not. He ran off and jumped in the lake. Wanted to let you know.
That's almost exactly how I assumed it would go.
That's how it have to go. I don't know how you tell somebody that. I understand that they didn't believe him. Like,
yeah,
why would you believe that?
No, yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Somebody said they wouldn't tell them.
Kind of reminds me of a couple other stories I had mentioned before. There was that one guy who was out on the lake fishing, and he saw that creature by his truck. And I believe it went into the lake at some point. And so it kind of reminds me of that.
Are you saying this is skinwalker material?
Or the what people call the knot deer.
The knot deer. The knot deer is the most dangerous deer of all deers because it's not a deer.
Yeah.
No extra charge, somebody said. Crazy monsters came for free with the house. Yeah, I don't know how you'd pitch that. But I guess it's cheap, right? People were just like, hey, I'll take it.
I mean, if you're at a lake house, you're going to be able to move it.
You think the monster ever came back?
I don't know.
This guy should have stayed up on it. I need to know if that house was sold again afterwards or not.
I would have, I would have checked, see if it went back up for sale on like Zillow or something.
This is a crazy ass sighting. I don't even know what you would say. I think I need to play this. I got to find it here because...
You saw the dog, didn't you? The black dog. I've heard truckers talk about it on the yard. They say it comes to take everything away from you.
And it did.
And it did. I mean, there's nothing else you could say. You've experienced something that I'm sure, though, like, what's the likelihood that this thing just messed around with that house for a while, then it was never to be seen again? It had to keep messing around with this house.
Yeah, definitely. It did.
It did. It did. Creepy as heck. Man, that's a good story. See if we got any more comments. We've been reading them as gone along. The duckweed dog. Yeah, the duckweed not deer. There's a lot of different things we could call this thing. There are a lot of people commenting on the sale of this house afterwards and how that would come about.
Yeah.
That's become the focal point of this story, and it really, I guess, shouldn't, because it was actually a really awesome story. I'm just trying to picture this creature, and I can't wait to see what Jack has to make when he makes a thumbnail for this.
I hope it involves duckweed, because, like, That's
Got it.
also been a big part of the story so far, is everyone thinks about the duckweed.
Some bitch just cut. By the time we're done with it, he's gonna be like, he was spewing and spitting duckweed on the car. It's gonna really escalate. That's a really cool story, though.
It's gonna be something that's gonna be everybody's vocabulary for the rest of their lives now. They're saying duckweed every once in a while.
It's a damn shame that we'll never know more, about some of these stories that we share. Like, did anything else happen after this? All right, let's segue back into the Howard Stern show. Okay.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So we have finished, I think we're about halfway through the footage, maybe-ish. So a guy claiming to be a serial killer has called in on the show. And at this point in time, like Luke said, Howard seemed to be, he didn't believe it in the beginning, I guess you could say. But as time's gone on here, he seems to be more in belief of it. And then he actually starts grilling him on some pretty good questions, I guess, investigative questions.
Yeah.
And he's just very nonchalantly answering it. And I think the part that stuck out to me is how he's correcting Howard. So Howard said she was 16, and he said, no, I was 16 when I first did. He's correcting him as he goes along here, which to me just adds some believability to it. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, it kind of leads into what I was thinking is Howard's deliberately trying to get as much information from this guy as possible to maybe possibly catch this guy. Because, he was like, are you white? He was trying to figure out what, race he was and everything like that. So he got him to say he was white, and then that they originally were actually accusing some black police officer of one of these murders. It seems like he's trying to draw out details that might help pull someone to look from. Immediately it just seems like the way he's talking to this guy, he is now on a desire to catch him on something.
Let's pull it back up and jump back in here.
And it's just whoever comes up to you. You don't pick a certain type.
I don't even approach them. I wait for them to approach me, Robin.
So
And do you
that's
ever
like them asking for it.
do you ever look into their eyes and go, gee, these people were just children at one point, and maybe they just had a tough life?
I've let a couple go.
You have. What happened? You're in the middle of killing them, and then they what do they say? Why would you let one go and kill the other?
There was this one.
Go ahead.
I think she was probably really new to it.
Yeah.
There was just something about her. It reminded me of my ex-fiance, but...
Right. You somehow relate...
More of an innocent quality.
You somehow felt bad for her.
Yeah.
And you have a fiance, so you're planning to get married?
No.
He had one, you say.
He had one.
No. If I wouldn't be a suspect, believe me, she'd...
But let me ask you, why'd you did you start to kill her and then, you said, forget it? Or you just never even...
Not even.
You just had sex. You just had sex with her and then you let her go.
I didn't even have sex with her, Howard.
Well, that's weird. Now that's weird.
You just really felt sorry for them.
I don't know what she was doing what she was doing, but...
Are you a big fat mess?
But she got off lucky.
Are you a big fat mess, or are you a fairly good-looking guy?
I'm not a mess. I wouldn't call myself good-looking. I don't know what I'd call myself, Howard.
Right.
Do you have a decent job and all that stuff?
Sounds like a bright guy.
Not decent like you have.
Yeah, well, we got ridiculous jobs.
You get these.
I don't even know that I'd call this a job. You know what I mean? This is not a normal
It's a
job.
made-up job.
Yeah, this is a job that's totally useless. You know what I mean? Nobody really needs it.
It's a scam.
To me, a job is like something a UPS driver is a job. All right, not now. Thank you, Ed.
Maybe this is a UPS driver.
Ed laughs, but he has no job either. All right, this is always
but you
weird.
do work every day and stuff like that.
This is always weird, but I'm bringing, at least we can sort of get into the mind of a guy who serial kills. I think he's 100% on the level. So you killed your first woman.
When was the last time you killed?
It's been a few months.
Right.
Actually, it's been going on a year.
You're like the Boston Strangler, man. Maybe I should opt in your story. So what do you think you're going to do? Do you think you're going to kill yourself? Do you think that
Are you going to kill again?
Can you stop this?
If I killed myself, I'd miss the next Batman movie.
Right. You don't want to do that.
No.
There's a fan.
Actually, I'd actually kill myself to miss
why
that.
would you want to savor that?
No, but in all seriousness, do you think that you could control this? Do you think you could stop?
I think I have been.
Oh, you have been for the last couple of months.
A year he hasn't killed.
Oh, a year?
Yeah.
Almost.
So why do you think you stopped killing all of a sudden?
I really don't know, Howard. Part of it had to do with my car broke down.
Oh, no transportation.
Oh, yeah. Seriously? That's the reason?
Well, that was the reason for a month, but after that, I guess it was all self-control.
Wow.
Oh.
But
So you don't want to do this anymore?
No, he wants to do it, but he's controlling himself. But you want to kill women, right?
Sure.
Yeah. And what do you like? Do you enjoy seeing them struggle as you kill them?
Actually, none of them really struggle.
Do you hit them from behind, or do they see it coming?
I can't get inside their minds, but let's just say I hit them.
But, I mean, are you facing them?
Yeah.
Oh, so you can see their face and everything when you do it.
Yeah. The worst I've ever gotten was one tried to grab my neck. I've never gotten any of the claw marks or anything that are dead giveaways.
Right. You must be very powerful.
I wouldn't call myself powerful. Maybe intimidating.
Interesting. Howard almost seems to be building him up.
Yeah, he's trying to get him to admit some stuff. For one thing, they were trying to get his job real hard, and they were making jokes about like UPS drivers and stuff like that, and then they thought they maybe caught him there slightly. They mentioned, like he said, it's not a real job anymore, and they're like, "Well, were you a UPS driver or something like that?" They were just trying to catch him on something, and then he got him to admit that he wasn't big, and he wasn't necessarily well cut either. He wasn't fat, he wasn't thin, and they were just trying to get it seems like they're trying to get a profile. These two are professionals, Robin and Howard. Robin is probably actually way smarter than Howard most of the time, because she helped run the show entirely basically for them. But they're both clearly trying to build up some information that they intend fully on.
Trying to build him up to make him feel good at some points in time.
Yeah.
Just to get more information out of him. You must be strong.
Yeah. They're definitely trying to get more information that they fully intend on giving over to the authorities after this.
What about his Batman joke?
So, I'm having a hard time remembering what movie was coming out for Batman then. Was it the Arnold Schwarzenegger one?
I have no clue.
Yeah, but that was weird, right? And then it's bad to laugh at it because
he's trying to crack jokes, though. He's trying.
Yeah, this is definitely a serial killer, though. So, at the same time, the whole time I'm disgusted by this whole thing. But at the same time, when Howard said, you might not want to actually watch that, you might just want to kill yourself instead of watching it, that was probably the funniest thing I have ever heard. I don't know. It was so weird and hilarious. This is messed up, though. This is absolutely the craziest thing.
He wants them to know how easy this is to do this, to kill somebody. It's just so easy, right? It's like, there's never a struggle. There's never anything. It's just, I'm so good at it,
Yeah, definitely. He's definitely bragging.
I thought they hit home in the earlier clip when they said, do you ever look them in the eyes and think, this person used to be a kid, they have a family?
Mm-hmm.
He didn't really want to think about that, though. He didn't really respond to that.
I feel like they're probably going to hammer in on this car thing. I don't know. I haven't heard this. But if my guess is right, that they're going to keep bringing up that car, they're probably going to try to figure out what that car is. Because he mentioned that it broke down. I mean, I could be wrong. But if I was them, I would try to kneel down on that, try to figure out what kind of car he has.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't remember exactly. I think it's getting a little bit of a weird point. Like, how much longer do you try to keep this going on,
Yeah,
For the integrity of your show, almost. I don't really know how else I'm going to say it. Let's jump back in here, though.
Yep.
Why did you choose this method?
I didn't, Robin. Like I told you, I really wanted to cut things up, mail things, send clues.
So she means, why did you use a hammer? You think you...
Because it was in a book I read.
Oh.
Well, everything's come from
Cartoons
somebody
and...
else.
Yeah. When's the last time you got laid?
Last week, Howard.
Oh, yeah, so you didn't kill that girl?
No.
Because she wasn't a hooker?
No.
Right.
It's only hookers, though.
A lot of serial killers are only into hookers because they know, A,
Easy.
probably won't get caught, and B, they have some kind of anger toward hookers. Like, did you think your mom was a hooker or something?
No, Howard.
Your parents married and stay together and the whole thing?
Yeah.
Church-going people?
That'll do it.
Well, one of them, but...
Yeah. Religious fanatics give birth to the most serial killers because they're so repressed.
Yeah.
So there's no way I'm going to talk you into giving yourself up or anything, right?
No.
I shouldn't even waste my time. I know I'm going to get calls after this, and people are going to go, Howard, how come you didn't catch him?
Has anybody ever been close to catching you?
No. Actually, someone once, when it was in the newspaper, someone joked to me, I know it was you, but, well, they were joking.
Right.
Yeah.
You think you might be gay?
I hope not.
Right, maybe you're a repressed homosexual. Were you ever molested?
No.
Do you have a lot of tattoos?
I don't have any tattoos. I wouldn't do that to myself.
Right.
And do you get high before you do this?
I've gotten pretty drunk before.
Yeah.
A little anal.
The lame one.
Relax that sphincter. Well, I got to say, I wish you would die, but, what can I tell you? Maybe this is sort of good that you're talking about it with me, and maybe it'll keep you under, maybe I can't get you to turn
Maybe
yourself
it's
in.
like a valve, and he'll be able to go another year or something.
Yeah, but maybe somehow, you won't do it anymore.
What about your kids? You want them living in a world with people like you?
Hasn't really analyzed it, though.
Anyway, I mean...
Yeah.
Kind of lonely, though. You can't tell anybody about this.
I'm the only guy am I the only guy you ever told about this?
Yeah.
Wow. I guess that's sort of an honor.
I've told a couple of women, Howard, but,
They're dead.
Yeah. Do you tell them first and then you kill them?
Yeah.
What do you say to them? Let me.
Fun.
All right. Let's
Every
see.
now and then you can play the running game if you're out in the middle of nowhere, and we got a lot in the middle of nowhere down here.
Right. So, in other words, let's say you're with a woman, right? A hooker.
Yeah, Howard.
And you say to her, okay, honey, you just had sex and everything. What do you say to her to torment her? How do you break the news to her that she's going to die?
It really depends on my mood.
Just give us an example.
Well, if I wanted to, I could just say Baba Booey, but that would be pretty,
No, come on, be serious. What do you say to him?
I can say you're going to die.
And then what do they do?
I like to articulate a little more than that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so there's a lot to unpack with that one. He says his name an awful lot, doesn't he? Howard.
Yeah.
Am I the only one picking up on, saying his name in an unusual amount of time?
Yeah, so early on, he was like, am I talking to Howard right now? And he's like, yeah. It was like the first clip,
Am I talking to Howard? Yeah, I guess maybe he thought he was still talking to producer or something.
Yeah, producers beforehand. And so I don't know if he was still feeling that out this late into the thing or what. I'm not sure there. I think he has some sort of obsession with Howard Stern at this point, just in general, and that's why he decided to call and tell him about everything.
I think the Baba Booey joke is from that show.
Yeah, I think he does it, yeah.
You could tell he was disgusted, though, that he used it in context with what he was doing.
He definitely got him to say that he had no tattoos. And so that was
picked up on that, too.
Yeah. And so, immediately, now they can, narrow it down to a guy with no tattoos, white guy, average build. All these things. Obviously that's not a huge narrowing down, but maybe in the area that he's in, because he did mention, what they call the neighborhood that he gets these prostitutes from.
Jimmy Swaggertown, Red Light District, is its nickname or something? Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. They definitely have more and more information as this is going on, and I don't think this guy realizes just how much he's given up. Howard said, I just wish you would die, know, and it's like, yeah, that's a pretty reasonable response to this whole thing. He's having to deal with the fact that he knows he's talking to a serial killer. This is 100% real at this point. I'm 100% convinced that this is an actual killer he's on the phone with. And I'm assuming he's got the same realizations, there's no way I'm not talking to a killer right now. That amount of disgust that he's got me feeling, you could just imagine it. This guy called to tell you and basically brag on national radio that he murders prostitutes.
Yeah, real proud of it.
Yeah.
Very nonchalant about it, isn't he?
Yeah, definitely.
Creepy as hell. All right, Luke, it is your time to get back into what you're doing here. And let me get the music going for you.
All right, this is called What the Hell Do I Do? I live in Michigan, in the northwest part, not far from Lake Superior. My house is in the middle of the woods and pretty secluded. My yard is about 98 acres, and my closest neighbors are 5 minutes down the road. I know everyone who lives around here. It's mostly retired people in my area. My house has a back deck that has a window leading into the kitchen. I always feel a little bit uneasy looking out that window at night. Even I know there's no one for miles around. I've never seen anything worrying in that window for years and years. The deck has a clear view of my driveway and the encompassing forest. The solitude is nice. I really appreciate how secluded my house is, but it does get lonely. In an emergency, it's not ideal because even 911 won't arrive for a long time out where I live. So it's not without its drawbacks. Anyway, one night when I came into my kitchen to get a glass of water, I was looking into the darkness outside the window, and I saw someone standing outside in the pitch black and near sub-zero temperatures. I couldn't tell who it was that I saw out in the forest, but I focused really hard, and I can make out a shape of a body, someone standing there. My lights were off in my house. I wasn't thinking clearly. I flipped them on, thinking it might shine light on the intruder, but I actually just blinded myself, and all I could stare at was a black window that I made. Just flipped off the lights quickly, and I tried to focus into the same area I saw the person before. They were gone. It was about 2 a.m, and I grabbed my rifle and stepped outside. It was so cold, I couldn't actually stand outside for very long. I fired a shot in the ground and yelled to get off my property, but I couldn't see anyone. I didn't sleep the rest of the night. I sat by the deck with my guns. I never saw any headlights from any cars in the area. I don't know where anyone could have come from, because I have a good view of the road. I see if they parked a way out and walked up my driveway, but there's none of that happening. This was a few weeks ago. I just can't get it out of my head. I know I saw someone. Could recognize if I saw a bear or a deer. It was a man standing there in the trees. It was snowing that evening and early morning. I could not find any tracks.
Creepy. Did a good job setting the scene of where he lives and what's typical or not typical.
In that area of Michigan, it's going to be really freaking cold. And, he mentioned it was snowing, and what lake effect snow, that would be a heavy snow.
Every time I've been to Michigan, it's freaking cold.
Yeah, it's cold in the freaking summer sometimes.
But that's crazy. So he sees a man or a figure, man-like figure standing on the edge. Like this is on the edge of his property, kind of by the woods.
Yeah, out by the woods.
I wonder how far away it was from where his viewpoint was.
So he mentioned that his yard was 9 acres, and then there was woods encompassing it. So it was a good little ways away for sure. At least. I mean, I don't know, one way or the other. It could have been somewhat close. But, he was able to make out the figure of a man. Yeah, that would be pretty scary.
So here's my thing. I always wonder, if I'm staring at a figure of a person, we often hear in these stories that we share, we're 11 or 12 episodes in now, so we've shared a lot of stories. How do you make the decision to, stop looking and to walk and react? To me, it's almost just as scary to stop looking at it because you don't know what's going to happen while you're going to react. In this example, get a weapon.
Yeah.
Don't know if it's going to move. And that's got to be a weird decision to make in that split moment.
Yeah. So also he made the terrible decision of turning on his lights. Clearly that was a panic move.
What else would you do? I mean, no.
Yeah, but he was thinking it would put more light out. He was not thinking clearly at all. As soon as he turns on that light, you won't be able to see anything.
They see you inside at night. You don't see them outside as well, yeah.
Yeah.
Let alone if he's that far away, yeah.
Yeah, he was definitely better suited by keeping that light off. Yeah, I would probably be more tempted to try to keep an eye on them the whole time, as long as I could. If I had a cell phone on me, I would probably, pull it out and start calling at that point. I would not waste time, trying to get a weapon right away. Because if they're that far away and you can see them, you'll see them coming to you. So you can, go and get a weapon at any point. It definitely makes more sense to, start the process of getting 911 out there, saying there's an intruder on your property, middle of the night, they're not going to be up to any good. So
Did he ever call 911?
He did not. He mentioned that it takes so long to get 911 out there early on that it's kind of a bad thing to live out there. That's the only problem he has with living out there. So, yeah, he didn't call them.
Almost seems best, as we always share these stories, just to follow the procedure of doing that.
It does.
What's it going to hurt, you know?
Yeah, I know. Like, if you think there's an intruder, just call 911. And go from there. Then you can start doing these plans.
Is it possible this isn't like this person's not up to anything? I don't want to say bad, because standing here staring at somebody on a private property is not good. Is it possible they don't have any bad intentions here?
Yeah, I would say that there is a slight possibility that they're like some sort of, I don't know what the hunting seasons are like there. So maybe it's a poacher,
Yeah.
someone out there hunting when they're not supposed to or something like that, doing it in the middle of the night. That's a possibility. Strong possibility. Weird. Still strong possibility. Still technically illegal.
Deer are pretty active at night, right? I mean,
you see them out when you start driving down the road at night.
I'm in my yard at night, yeah.
Yeah.
I've never seen a person stand at the edge of my yard, but that'd be different.
Yeah, it would be. So, part of me is thinking that's a strong possibility. This was someone who was out there hunting, and then they saw a light come on, and they're like, oh, I want to hide because, I'm not supposed to be out here doing it. I don't know like I said, I don't know what the hunting seasons are like. We don't have an exact day.
Did he say they were hiding really, or just like...
He said he didn't see them anymore after they turned on the lights, but
they were standing there, like not moving, like not hiding, right?
Yeah, they were just kind of like standing there and on the edge of the forest.
Maybe they thought they couldn't be seen or something. I don't know.
Yeah, or maybe they were just like, who knows what they could have been doing. Could have been taking a leak for all we know.
Go ahead. No good.
Yeah, no, but I just think it's interesting. The area is, it does have a lot of hunting going on. So that was my whole thought process, is that this might be a hunter. No one he knows that lives near him goes, like, you couldn't have been any of them because they're all old folks that wouldn't be out at night. This was definitely someone who doesn't belong in the area.
Yeah, he made that very clear. He did a very good job making it very clear that it was an abnormal thing. What did you title this one?
What the hell do I do now? Because that's what he did. Because he was wondering what he should do to protect himself, or what he should be his next action.
I don't think that we will play we won't share like a story of the night, because I can't wait any longer to play this one in reaction.
What should I do? Should I admit that I've made mistakes? Should I remind you that I've done this before?
Should I give you a history lesson?
Maybe coach high school football?
Tommy, completions are way more awesome when you force them through triple coverage. Remember that.
Should I hint at coming back next year?
Should I be really cryptic about what I actually mean? I am not a role model.
I'm a jeans model. Should I be who you want me to be?
Maybe I should just despair.
Then I could change my mind a couple months later. I could reappear. What should I do? Should I just leave voicemails?
Hey, Jim. It's Brett. Had a meeting today. That ended.
What should I do? What else should I do to stay in the spotlight? If I end the video now, would you watch it again? Purple helmet, my private jet, my Puby sneak, my Peyton Man thing. Want to see my Danny Woodhead? That's not even a joke. I just think he's a good player. Like, name my after him.
How did you know? So I was in this dilemma. How am I going to share this tonight? Doesn't seem as appropriate with my story, but oh boy, did you set yourself up there.
Yeah. Wow. That was really good.
Speechless. It's like I predict the future. Somebody said, well, he shouldn't do that. Yeah, that might not get him anywhere. What do you think?
You never know.
Your thoughts. I know this was one of your favorite videos from the past.
I don't think that you should, send your Peyton Man thing to people like that.
Well, but about leaving voicemails.
If it's professional, you should leave a voicemail. Like he was saying, he had a meeting that ended.
Pretty straight to the point.
Yeah. I think that was a professional voicemail. That was fine.
What the hell should I do? Wow. Huh.
That's crazy.
I don't know how it worked out that way, dude. I don't know how it worked out that way. Okay, so we'll get back into what I was talking about here. We'll go back in for the final clip of the Howard Stern show when the serial killer called in. Then we'll wrap things up with some information I have of the post of that. Alrighty, let me find it here.
Sometimes I ask them if they think it's dangerous doing what they're doing, if they're worried about things, and they'll laugh it off, and that just pisses me off.
Right. And then you go ahead and you kill him.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there you go.
Well, now we've shed no light on this. We don't know how a serial killer is made, and we don't know how to catch him.
Yeah, well, you know what? All the experts don't know either, so. Well, here's a guy, just another story. He's out there.
You know, it's just, it substantiates my theory. Did you get jealous of Cunanan? Is that why you're talking to us now?
No, actually, I was thinking about writing a musical about Andrew Cunanan, but...
Guy's a comedian, too.
Huh?
Guy's a... Hey, some psychologist is on the line. You want to talk to him?
Sure.
I mean, since you're looking for answers.
Sure.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, yeah. Robert?
How you doing, Howard?
Hey, man. Go ahead.
Just wondering, how long did this guy wet his bed when he was a young boy?
Are you serious, or are you just trying to make a joke?
No, I'm totally serious.
Did you wet your bed when you were a young boy?
No.
Didn't do that at all.
No.
How about starting fires?
Huh?
How about starting fires?
Sure.
Yep.
You did start fires?
Yeah.
How old were you? How old were you when you?
For people to not get into serial killing to start fires, wet their bed when they're young. Along with the mutilation of little animals, but he said he didn't do that, so.
Right.
That's kind of something that was missing.
But fires was in your history, right?
You could say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of, it starts off as external ways of showing off their anger, and then they move on and go on to bigger and better things, I guess.
Wonder why this guy kills. Do you have any guess?
I don't know. I think you're right on with something with his family, childhood.
What's he so angry about?
Right.
You know, unfortunately, he's real angry, and he's out there hurting a lot of innocent women.
Yeah, what do I do with a guy like this? Just hang up and forget about it, or is there anything I can...
Depends on, Howard, what are you going to do? Of course, you're not going to, turn him in, but...
Well, I mean, I would, but I can't. I mean...
A lot of people would want to turn him in, but what can you do? You talk to him, try and figure out what's going on.
Yeah, all right. That's right. Then I'll probably just hang up. Okay.
Thanks a lot, Howard.
Thanks, man. All right, thanks, guys.
Thanks, Mr. Serial Killer.
You know, I mean...
Want to give us your name?
Yeah, I mean, I know I'm not going to get him to turn himself in. I've had calls from people who go, well, why didn't you do something? I go, well, what am I supposed to do? The guy's on the phone.
Crawl through the phone and get him?
Yeah. They were like, well, why don't you trace these calls? And I'm like, well, I don't have that equipment.
Yeah, what are we, the police?
I can't even get a phone system that works for air. Let alone a tracing thing. Oh, Jackie's back there bumming out. Oh.
First I wasn't buying it, but now I think I'd buy it.
Nah, I buy it. I bought that guy.
Sort of offhand attitude that you have to be a serial killer.
Nah, I buy it.
When he said Baba Booey, I was hoping he was going to break it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you horse-tooth jackass.
Right.
He snapped right back, you know.
Yeah. No, I think he was the real deal. Tell you the truth. Okay, Tom, you're on the air.
Okay, so we just shared all the footage from when audio, actually not footage, but audio show, Howard Stern show, 1997 on August 13th, when an alleged serial killer called into the show, said his name was Clay. Of course, this is a 17-minute conversation that Howard Stern held. He did a great job going through information and everything, in my opinion, at least. And there was an aftermath of this, right? Of course. So apparently Howard Stern has said that the day after this happened, the FBI came there, took all the tapes and audio stuff to help analyze this. There's a lot of people that are connecting with this with a famous serial killer case. It's called the Storyville Slayer. This is the nickname given to an American serial killer who murdered at least 24 prostitutes and drug addicts, most of whom were women in New Orleans, like they said in the video, in the audio. Through the course of the investigation, 2 separate suspects were considered, one of whom was convicted of one murder, leading investigators to believe that there were multiple killers responsible for these at least 24 deaths. The perpetrators mainly targeted black girls or women, aged 17 to 42. Most of them were strangled to death, while a number of them were beaten or drowned in the canal or rivers, then dumped in the swamps, rivers, or canals near highways. Due to the isolated location of these dumping sites, the victims' bodies were left in water, spanning several weeks to several years. Obviously, this resulted in extreme decomposition of the body, and obviously, when that happens, you lose a lot of evidence, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Some of the victims have never been identified, in this. According to investigators, the crimes began in the summer of 1991 after a young black woman informed police about an attempt on her life. This is the first suspect that is mentioned here, and he actually mentioned him. Remember how he mentioned the black police officer in the New Orleans area? Well, this was the guy he's right. This was the first suspect of the case. Victor Gant. He's a native of New Orleans. Gant spent his childhood and youth in Algiers. Hopefully I'm saying that city right, where a number of the victims lived and were abducted from. He became a police officer in February of 1980, and while on patrol, Gant would spend a lot of times in the red light districts, where in later years he acquired many acquaintances. He acquainted himself with several sex workers, including pimps and street informants. In the early 1990s, he gained a reputation for being a corrupt police officer after a number of informants reported that he, along with a few others, were running racketeering. So he was actually helping pimps and other criminals do their crimes here. He was ordered to submit a DNA test to see whether he could match the perpetrator's saliva. Apparently, they found a piece of chewing tobacco near one of the victims' bodies. The results were inconclusive and no charges were filed against Gant. He was dismissed from the force in August of 1996. So he was dismissed about a year exactly before this call happened. There's a second suspect, Russell Elwood. Another resident of New Orleans, Russell Elwood soon came under police suspicion. He was a native of Ohio, but he moved to New Orleans in 1968 after graduating high school. For the next 30 years, he lived in quite a rocky lifestyle because of his drug addictions, so a very inconsistent, unsteady lifestyle. He had no permanent residence, never married, or he changed professions very often, mostly sticking to photography and cab driving. He was arrested several times between 1968 and 1998, repeatedly. He first came under police scrutiny in 1994 after he was allegedly found fondling himself in the back of his car. The police pulled up and they found this. He was parked in an area where two of the bodies were found of these crimes, so that would automatically raise suspicion. He was brought into the station and interrogated. On August 4th, 1997, he was arrested on drug charges. So it sounds like one of those things where, hey, he committed another crime, right? So they're going to hold him on that in the meantime. Okay, so yeah, he was released after this, after he did his time for the drug charges. He was released and arrested several times after this, actually. Moving to and from New Orleans for the time being. Ultimately, he was arrested in January 1998 after a failure to appear on traffic violations. So they got him back in jail for that. While incarcerated March 4th, 1998, authorities charged him with the murders of 2 of the 24 victims that I mentioned earlier. The trial began on June 8th, 1999 in Lafayette. During the proceedings, a number of Elwood's former cellmates and then sex workers in the area testified as the witnesses for the prosecution, obviously, with the sex workers claiming with the cellmates claiming that he had confessed these murders to them in jail. He confessed to killing over 60 people while he was in jail. You know how that goes, though, so that alone was not enough. But the other witnesses, the workers, actually said that they spotted him with one of the victims prior to her being murdered. Multiple people did. Elwood himself denied knowing any of the victims and committing any murders, although he could not provide an alibi. One of the victims' mothers admitted that her daughter was a drug addict and a sex worker, but said that she had never seen Elwood with her daughter before. His attorneys argued that Elwood was not in New Orleans at the time of the murders, claiming that he had been in Ohio with some relatives. Elwood was known for keeping extensive amounts of documents that indicate his whereabouts and other miscellaneous things, but the receipts regarding his supposed presence in Ohio for February of 1993 had mysteriously disappeared. This became a huge ordeal. They blamed the task force, his attorneys did, the task force in charge of this investigation, and accused them of destroying all the evidence. Elwood's attorneys then filed a motion for a polygraph test to be performed on the lady that headed the task force. This was granted. She was tested a series of questions regarding the missing receipts, but the result was inconclusive. Ultimately, the murder charge for one of the victims was dropped, but Elwood was found guilty of the other victim, named Cheryl Lewis, and was sentenced to life imprisonment without parole on August 17th, 1999. He died in an Angola State Prison in 2014 in Louisiana. He was 63 years old. the time of his death. A lot of people are very suspicious of this and don't believe that he is the person that committed this. So let's go to the big thing as it relates to this story when we go back to what we just covered with the Howard Stern thing. The Howard Stern call happened on August 13th. They have him incarcerated on August 4th through that time. I haven't seen the documents myself, so this is hearsay and a lot of online reading where I've come up with this information. So don't take it with a grain of salt, I guess you could say. I think another thing that stuck out to me is I found his date he was born in 1951, so he would have been mid to late 40s, I believe, when he would have made this call to Howard Stern.
Right.
A lot of people are convinced this was the guy, and a lot of people are convinced this isn't the guy. But it doesn't seem like he could have made the call because he would have been in jail.
Yeah, this guy on the phone, it's hard to say because he's on the phone, obviously, but he sounded younger than that. This guy sounded like late 20s on the phone.
I kind of got that impression too. I mean, that's hard to say just by hearing somebody, right? But I did get that impression myself.
Yeah, like when I heard this guy's age you're talking about just now, I was like, man, this doesn't add up in terms of age, and that is concerning. Because also what he was saying, when he talked like a younger person would talk too, like the way he was bragging and everything.
Yeah.
It wasn't like how someone in their mid to late 40s would talk.
I can see what you're saying for sure. I mean, it's hard to say. Everybody's different. I think when you get in assumptions like that, it could be kind of bad. But nevertheless, I understand what you're saying. Just his psychology, if you had to analyze it using psychology, it didn't seem like he was an older person. Maybe 30s. No, that's kind of the impression I got. It doesn't line up. Of course, many people think this is all a hoax, which the Howard Stern has been known to have some crazy callers call in, but I don't know necessarily if I feel as if it's a hoax in regards to that he was in on it. I don't know if Howard Stern would be in on it. The thing that stuck out to investigators about this call was the amount of information that he knew. And apparently this story wasn't very public. So the fact that he was able to share the information that he did was very alarming to them.
Yeah, it definitely seems like he had some privileged information, because every time they do any type of investigation, they don't release everything to the papers or news in general, so that if there was someone who comes forward with information, they know if they know things that, aren't released, they can, verify that this was not someone who just, came out of nowhere saying stuff they already should have known. And this makes sense to me that, there was some stuff there clearly that they hadn't released in the news and that they would be concerned about.
Let us, if you're listening live, let us know what you think. We'll get back to it here.
I really want to know what everyone thinks, if this guy sounded younger to them or not. To me, he definitely sounded younger. Younger than I am now, probably, like I said.
You're what, like 65 now?
No, but I'm not 40, and this guy definitely doesn't sound 40s. He sounded, like I said, he sounded like late 20s, early 30s to me.
So what? The technology obviously wasn't the same then.
Yeah.
And he's very adamant on the fact that he's been in this position before and he can't trace the call.
Mm-hmm.
Thought that was interesting. But the FBI apparently was there the next day. A task force has been formed already, and they got a lot of this.
Yeah, there's a lot that goes into like tracing calls and stuff like that, and it is pretty much only owned by law enforcement. So, yeah, it would have been ridiculous to assume that he could. Yeah, he did a good job of getting information out of this guy, though, and both him and Robin did. And so I feel like they did their due diligence. If they wanted to help in any way, they did it. And obviously they didn't fight turning over their equipment and recordings. They complied. And so anyone that said that they could have done more is way off base. They did as much as they could.
What did you think about when they brought the psychologist in there at the end?
Yeah, it was interesting. I wish that the other person had interacted with them more, but I think they were clearly spooked by the idea of talking to the psychologist, because he was dragging information out like hard. He came on a little too strong, asking questions too hard.
Came right out with the wet the bed thing.
The bed and then the fires. And I think he was worried that he was going to give up information that would have accelerated things faster.
What about how this person always, I don't want to say always, frequently answered with sure?
So that speaks to me that his cocky nature, like he was just like, it was nonchalant. It was like, sure, whatever. Makes me think of a younger person.
You got a lot of people commenting here. Sounded younger than 40. They think, somebody else said that they think it's about a 50% chance that this is real, a 50-50 chance that this is real. I agree. It's a toss-up for me. I don't think Howard Stern was in on it.
Not at all.
Possible that this person's just full of shit. I mean, that's possible. It's possible that maybe they were in jail with this other guy. Who knows? They definitely have a lot of information, though. They didn't have, I guess, a crazy amount, but they talked about the hammer. They talked about some of the other things that were, I guess, intrigued law enforcement. A lot of people are asking, could he have called from jail possibly? Would they know back in 1997? Good question. I really don't know.
I don't know that he would have been able to be. I feel like he was on the phone too long for it to be a jail call, but I could be wrong. But you don't necessarily, from what I can gather, you don't have a long time on those jail calls before they tell you your time's up. It's usually like 5-10 minutes. This was almost a 20-minute call.
17 minutes he talked to this alleged serial killer.
Yeah, so I think that seems like it was a little long for a jail call. And also, I don't think anyone...
Somebody said, my dad was in jail once and called 911 from the jail phone to ask when he was going to be let out.
Well, there you go. So, I just don't know that anyone would risk it, but maybe that guy clearly risked it by doing that.
I think there's like a certain cocky factor to it, right? Like he is so proud of himself. He's just going to sit here and talk about it all day. He's trying to be careful. You can tell it seems like he's trying to be careful with what he's saying. He doesn't want to give too much, although I agree with you. I think Howard Stern and Robin did a great job of getting whatever information they could out of whatever the conversation was.
He started to clam up a bit there towards the end. I think he realized he was giving too much.
Yeah, well, the tattoo thing they got out of him, I mean, that was pretty telling. But it's also possible that he was just trying to mislead them, too.
Yeah.
That's a big thing, too, right? He was just trying to mislead them. A lot of people... Okay, what else? There's a lot of background noise in jail. Yeah, true. The audio recording itself is not great. I actually tried to clean it up a little bit. I think I did a pretty good job. But, yeah, I don't think he would make that 17-minute call in jail. I think that would get picked up. Yeah. So that leads to... That's a big question, right? So is he not... The person that was arrested... There's a couple different scenarios here. Is he not the killer? Or like they stated in the beginning, they thought there were multiple killers.
Right. Yeah. And it very well could be. Because seemed like there were a couple different ways these people were being killed. Some were being drowned, and that's how they died. Some were strangled, and some were beaten to death with a hammer or beaten to death. And he said he did strangle one person, but then he switched to using the hammer exclusively. He never mentioned drowning someone, and so maybe this other person was the guy who was drowning people. I don't know. But he also did say it took a long time before they found that first body, and that's why he didn't do the whole clues thing that he wanted to do.
Maybe someone proposed something interesting here. Maybe there were multiple people in on this together.
That's entirely possible.
Yeah, of course, we'll never know, right?
Yeah,
that's the crazy part about this. You'll never know for sure. Everything I've read does not indicate there's any proof that was him that made the call or anybody else.
Yeah.
This is one of those things that's, I don't know, it almost has like a cult following, right? Like Howard Stern has a very big cult following, but this story itself does. People still talk about it to this day. A couple years ago, it actually got really popular again, but a lot of people digging into trying to find out who it was. And then the Storyville killer thing is primarily what the focus is on.
That's crazy. No, I did not know that was what your whole thing was going to be tonight. And when you started playing, I was like, man, this is the craziest thing we've ever talked about on here. Like, I thought the chimpanzee last week was nuts. This was crazier.
Travis the chimp.
Yeah.
Was this scary?
Well, it was weird. It was kind of upsetting because like anything like this, you're potentially talking to pure evil. Listening to this person talk is disgusting, like if, this is a real thing. And so, yeah, it was, I wouldn't say it was scary. It was just more like pure disgust at this person existence.
The thought it could be the guy next door is pretty scary though.
Yeah. And then his, I feel like Howard's responses to this guy, he was like, well, you should probably go kill yourself. Realistic responses to this because, this is
what would you say? Yeah.
Well, I would obviously probably try, like he did try to get more information, try to get him to be caught. But yeah, I would, at some point, you kind of just get disgusted with things like that. And you will say something like that.
Somebody said Howard is pissed. Yeah, he was pissed. You could tell he was, him and Robin were disgusted. Yeah. What a crazy story, man. I'm glad I could share that one. I know a lot of people have heard of it, but you really hadn't. So I think there's going to be a lot of people out there that haven't too.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the first time I had ever heard of it. So that was definitely very interesting.
Yeah, it was good. Well, Luke, that brings us to the end of the stream, the end of the episode tonight. And there's another great night with some awesome, scary stories. You had a couple really good ones. They're just kind of overshadowed by this crazy-ass person calling it Howard Stern, but they were good, though.
Mine were fun because they were like monsters and stuff. Yours are like, the bottomless pit of humanity.
A true monster.
Yeah.
Well, of course. Yeah, let's plug in our plugs and we'll get out of here. YourScaryStories.com. You want to submit one? We're still working on the website. I don't think Jack ever touches it. I'm going to be honest with you. We need to keep working on that. Submit your stories there if you have one. If you had something happen to you, ideally, true is good. We want to hear like a real experience you had. Send it over to us at YourScaryStories.com. I'm Jeff Townsend, podcast father on social media everywhere. You can send it to me. Releasing new episodes, I say episodes, but new videos, new clips, new segments every day on YouTube. So make sure you check that out. Go to my YouTube, Podcast Father. You can also search for Your Scary Stories there, and everything is there. And of course, the audio version is available too. Luke, man, we have a Discord community out there, and we have a Reddit community, right?
Yep. The Reddit is Share Your Scary Stories. And then, of course, Your Scary Stories Discord.
Yeah, I don't know if we have it on the website. I think we do. I don't know.
The links are on the website, yeah.
Cool. Okay, good.
At least I think they are. I'm pretty sure they are, yeah.
Well, we're going to go with it, yeah. We'll make sure they are at some point in time. But anyway, man, it was another good episode of stories, and I had fun sharing them with you, dude.
Yeah.
Any words of inspiration before I hit my saying that we get out of here?
No, just don't become a serial killer. Like, that's just not a good idea. Don't do that.
Yeah, assuming you're not a serial killer and you're a good person, keep being you. Keep being great.
Jeff Townsend Media. CG, good night.
And the question is, do I stay here? Will you be back? Are you gonna come back? Will you be back? Are you coming back?